All right, welcome back to the Entrepreneur, the Entrepreneur Shift the Culture podcast.
Woo!
Travis, this could be a short one today.
Yeah.
We start dead late. Gail ain't even here. And I think she said she's feeling under the weather, so we just want to send our best wishes.
Get well soon, Gail.
To our Rastafari brethren.
Yes.
Gail Hannah.
Uh-huh.
Always with the coolest shades.
Mm-hmm.
She probably laying in bed right now with her shades on.
Just go chicken noodle soup, man. That's how you got to do it.
Chicken noodle soup. So get well soon, Gail. We hope to have you back next week.
Yep.
Hopefully, whatever this bug is that's bothering you, don't linger around too long, like this BLP governor. But anyhow, Travis, what we can talk about today? I think we're going to talk about the theme. You know, I had an interesting conversation yesterday, right? And it was discussing with a friend of mine, like, taking responsibility for your situation, because it seems as though a lot of people feel as though they are in the situations they are in because of some other outside force or someone else or some system, or it's always something or someone else oppressing them or keeping them in the situation that they're in.
So accountability for one's own actions.
Exactly. For one situation. For the predicament that you find yourself in, the situation you find yourself in, either right now or that you've continued to find yourself in over and repeatedly. So what role do you play in your circumstances?
Right. You asking as a question or that's the subject matter?
Yeah.
So
how important is the role that you play?
It's very interesting. So I would kind of say, and let me just get this out the way right away. I mean, we have different views, but like I do believe in a higher power, God.
Okay.
But outside of that, a lot of Bahamians do. But there's a saying that faith without works is dead. So a lot of people use different things, not just spirituality, but they like to blame other people and say this person is the reason why I'm not getting ahead, or this person is the way to do it. And what it is it's a lot of energy wasted and a lot more complaining than actually doing something.
Yep.
My personal belief is that if I have the physical capability of being able to do this, then I try to do it as much as possible and then see where that outcome lies. And I don't know if I was like this when I was younger, but somewhere along the line, it was nobody else I had to answer to besides myself. And slowly but surely that happened a lot of times where now I came to the decision where, these are some things that are in my control that I need to take charge of if I want different things to change, if I want to be more confident at this thing, if I want to be more, passionate about doing this thing, if you want to go talk to that girl, all these different things.
What?
Like stuff like that. I mean, it's different things for different people. It's a lot of. Yeah. I know we beat excuses over the head a lot of things, but that delay of action is a real thing. A lot of people deal with that. I still deal with too, and it's almost an internal conversation you got to have with yourself to be like, okay, snap out of it. You could actually do this, or you could do this thing. It's a little bit of a prep talk and a little bit of reality to realize where you're currently at and where you currently need to go. And all it is, like, for the most part, most things are in your control, so you should operate accordingly in order to go the direction that you need to go.
And that's my position as well. But the other person seemed to be like, ultimately you are not in control. It's the man or the Illuminati or whatever, however people want to describe them. The people that I guess put systems in place. People that run government, people
and they
that
are
do
there.
things.
These systems are there.
Yeah, but I don't like when people to solely put it on their shoulders. Like they are the reason why I am suffering and why I can only make this amount of money and why I can only get to this particular point in my life. It's these people that are causing this.
Even like again on those minor levels too, is that the reason I'm not. And this is real to some people, and for some cases it may not be. But an excuse is like, the reason I'm not getting higher in my job is because this person doesn't want me to get higher in this job and all that stuff. If that's truly the case, then you should reevaluate why you're there in the first place. But more times than not, it isn't. And even if that is the case, you have to work around that in order. You can't let another person define where you should be going.
Exactly, and that's essentially what a lot of people do is they put their lives in other people's hands. They give people complete control over their lives and their circumstances. And let me not say I don't understand it. I get it because I didn't always think the way that I do now. So I understand that we have a culture of raising people to feel as though they have no control. You're supposed to just, you go through school, get your education, go get a good job. Hopefully if you stay on that job for a long time, you get pension, retirement,
the
and all that stuff.
the blueprint of that.
Yeah, and so I get why people have it initially. What I don't get is why people don't ever challenge it or rethink it and question it and try to get themselves out of it. You know what I mean? I don't get, because they would complain over and repeatedly about their circumstances, but would never do the things necessary to get themselves out of said circumstances.
I think, and generally in some cases, it may be very, depending on what that challenge is for that particular person, it may be very hard to do that. But what people mistake is that they let the difficulty of a challenge overshadow what's good for them or what's the right thing for them. So they see this thing as a challenge and they'd be like, oh, I won't go past this brick wall or something like that.
Right.
As opposed to what could happen. They got to do a little bit of work to get to the place where they want to go. Since it's a little bit of work, they rather be like not do it less, or they really think that these things are eating at their own potential where they can't even get past this thing.
Well, let's just face it, it's just easier to complain.
It's
easy to complain and do nothing.
It
takes nothing.
It takes energy to complain, but then it takes no energy to complain at the same time. So it's this weird place that people, almost those two counteracting things creates that cycle of it always happening. Because it's so easy to do it, you do it all the time.
Right.
And then you kind of get, instead of taking action, I guess.
And it's like, another thing I notice is when you speak to people, and you come from a different perspective and you're trying to help them actually find solutions to their situation, right? It's like a lot of people don't seem to want to hear that. Because people tell me all the time.
Yeah, because they feel like it's like you're beating down. Oh, why don't you do, like you're pushing them? Which,
well, it's what it is they say to me, oh, you live in a fantasy land, a utopia. It's like what I'm presenting to them is unreal. It's some fairy tale that doesn't exist and that will never exist.
Right.
It's like they feel like you're coming from a place that just isn't real. You just speaking, or like Bahamians like to say, which is a saying I hate, but they like to say you're just talking out your head, which I hate, by the way, because your brain is in your head and your mouth is also there. So it makes no sense. But
basically,
but they this is what they say to me, like, man, you think this is a utopia or you living in a fantasy world because of your perspective. And even though I see results from feeling and thinking this way, it's like they still discard it.
Yeah, and that gets to you. Because it always happens. Like, you could be making that progress, and you still feel like you're not making progress because you get those comments and stuff like that. My particular approach on those things is that people only work off the data that they have or what they see or what they know. So when you do something that sounds out of range to them, they're using that as a baseline from their own experiences because they've never done anything similar to that. They really don't have that knowledge of what could be done in that given field. That's one.
Yeah.
Secondly, it also plays on, what's safe. It's like what you're talking about sounds scary. It sounds like you have to do a lot of the out-of-the-box things. So it really doesn't make sense. Why not just take the easiest route to get to where you need to go, right? But see, we see things differently. It might take what the world that we want to them might take a longer road or be a little bit more difficult, but we know what's on the end.
But you know what's crazy is that's just perception.
Yes, it's all in the mind. It's all in the mind.
Because it's like you said, they perceive it as the longer road, right? But let's think of the road that they fall into when they don't take risks or do the things they really want to do. You have a 40-year career of working from job to job, or if you want one job, working for people. I would say 40 years is a long damn road to hopefully pay off your mortgage and hopefully have enough money to survive at the end of the day.
Whereas, mind you, some people have succeeded at that, or they are happy with that.
Right.
I guess the people.
But what I'm speaking about the people
who complain.
Exactly. And these are normally the people that don't succeed at it. These are the people that are usually, in in circumstances where they have the struggle, they switch from job to job, or they feel like they are underpaid. Well, they probably are underpaid in their job. These are the people who I'm referring to. You know what I mean? The ones that are constantly complaining about these things. They don't view it as, listen, because I tell people, listen, personally, the worst thing you could probably have is a job. My opinion. In this climate, especially the way I see how companies treat people.
To do what you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. When it comes to freedom, worst thing you could have is a job. Because people are essentially telling you what you're worth. How much you're going to get paid is them telling you what you're worth, what your time is worth. When you can take a break, which is vacation time, they have to approve it and sign off on it. Someone is basically controlling your life and paying you what they feel you are worth for it. So that's like the worst thing someone could have, but they don't view it that way.
Right,
they view it as, like you said, it's just a safe thing.
It's almost comfortable to a point where, I don't have to think about these things because my employer or job has this all mapped up for me to do this, and I am okay with this. But bringing it back to accountability, especially if you're the person that doesn't want to be, like, isn't happy where you are, and say, I can't leave this job because of X. Most of the times is a lie to themselves, especially if you hate it enough. Yeah. So in the sense accountability, one, how are you being true to yourself, literally speaking to yourself and being honest with your own feelings? And two, who do you have around you that is either A, which is bad, complaining with you, or B, trying to help provide solutions that are going to give you, the boost or whatever it needs to make the decisions to get into a better place. And I think internally that accountability is important first and foremost, because at the end of the day, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it.
Exactly.
You still have to have some hard conversations with yourself that, you may you have a lot of, like, okay, you may be in a position where you have a mortgage or you have this, like, as life goes on, life gets difficult to make those decisions.
But we
don't discount that at all. But at the same token, you have to be really real about what you can actually do.
But the thing is, and it goes, and this goes back to accountability and responsibility. That mortgage had to be signed off by somebody. Guess who that person is?
You.
Okay. So when you are giving me reasons as to why you are in certain situations, I don't want to hear you crying and complaining about the things that you are directly responsible for, i.e. mortgage, car loan, high rent,
the things that you can change.
Exactly.
You can change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are the things.
So why they'd be like, I can't do this because of this. So why don't you change this?
Exactly.
I can't do that because, and then you keep asking the why almost.
Yeah.
And then you ask enough whys, it kind of breaks down to the point like, I actually could do this.
Right. And all that says is you actually don't want a solution.
Right. Correct.
You don't want a solution. Right. You just want somebody.
Or they don't see it as a solution.
Right. You just want somebody to coddle you, or just I feel so bad for you. I get it. I understand. I know, child, the struggle real. You just want somebody to do that.
And that's the dangerous thing about accountability with other people around you. So when you complain or in a bad spot and people say, just do this, like, who are very passive with it and don't, like, give you the kick in the ass that you need to. Yeah. That's the worst. That's probably the worst place you could be in, especially if you're not at a point where you have those conversations with yourself yet. Like, I always want the opportunity to be surrounded by people who could tell me about my ass, especially when I get too crazy or I get too utopian about whatever my views is, because those people around me bring me back to reality. It's like on a good note, you have a high level, you have a great view of all the things that you want to do, all this stuff. You think about a million possibilities, and then you have a group of people that be, okay, you need to, this is why, and all that. Not really necessarily breaking you down,
right?
But saying like, okay, how about doing this first or stuff that you need that dialogue with people.
Yeah.
And you will always get, no matter if you're doing it for yourself or you're with a group or with a company, you need people around you to kind of help you, energize you, or make it, or be real with you. Because if you have coworkers that ain't being real with you and letting you do whatever you want to do while they do what they need to do, that's a very toxic environment to be in.
But then you have to be the type of person that's receptive to that kind of feedback, because they may
take it as offense.
Right. They may be doing those things or not keeping it real with you because maybe there was a time in the past where they tried to, and they wasn't comfortable with your reaction to them doing it.
True.
So you have to be willing to accept this criticism or whatever it is that people want to offer to you, or else you're going to cause them to just let you be and let you do whatever you want to do. So it's not necessarily that they may be bad company or they are enabling you or just allowing you to do these things.
Criticism.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to know how to take it and be the type of person that they could feel comfortable with coming to you about these things. And they feel open. They don't have to hold back anything, and they know that they could be honest with you. Because, buddy, I don't want nobody lying around. I don't want no liars around me. I don't want no yes man around me. I don't want you to tell me something because it could make me feel good. That's the worst kind of people you could have around, and I think we have too many of those around right now.
Yeah.
And it's not just in this country, but it's in many aspects. Like,
yeah.
And it comes to Hollywood, music, entertainment, many forms of entertainment.
People trying to get away from yes men. Yeah.
But I think people are looking for yes men. They're looking for validation. And this is why the product has deteriorated to the point where it is, because no one is being honest with people. They're just allowing them to do what they want to do.
I think some of the most visual things that I've seen, I haven't even seen this like with Gary Vee. I've seen this more like watching hip hop artists more closely and looking at their inner circle, like their entourage of people, like who, especially if you watch like a J. Cole or even like a Logic, like the people that they have around them, you know they trust them 100%.
Yes.
They tell them what to do, or like if this was a good move or this isn't a good move.
Yes.
And you need that around you.
And don't you hear it in the product?
Yeah, you hear it in the product. You hear it in the music. You hear it in whatever they're trying to do, or whatever they need to do. They allow them, one, for the person who they're working with to still be true to themselves and not deviate from that. Bringing it back to the context of like us, where even with this podcast, even breaking it down to the podcast, if we kick back and forth ideas, we never have a situation where, oh yeah, that's a great idea. We'll be like, oh no, maybe
exactly.
What about this, or maybe that direction? Like we are honest with each other,
right.
and we may disagree at different times, but we still respect each other and realize that, one, we have a bigger goal where we want to go eventually, but at the same token, we still let each other do what we want to do, and we don't change we don't lie to ourselves.
Right.
Everything has always been 100%.
Right.
And that's what more people need, and
yes.
especially holding people accountable.
Yes.
If I miss too much podcasts, y'all tell me about my ass.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
If you miss one, I can shop you.
Yeah, but
You know,
but that's what you need, especially if you want to keep moving forward or moving in a direction.
Yeah.
Because if we didn't have that, we probably wouldn't be at episode 37.
Right. Exactly. And that's the thing. I think we lack that support and also that drive. And so I've just come to the realization that most people just want to complain. They don't really want to change their circumstances. They don't want to do nothing. They love the idea of a certain level of success or attaining certain things. Like if you were to ask a group of people, who in here wants $3 million? Everybody's hands can shoot up in the air. But as you list the things that they can have to do to get this, now they can start to, hold on now, I don't know about that. Yeah. So they like the idea of it if it's just going to come to them. But when it comes to actually doing something about it to make it happen, a lot of people ain't into that. Which is why everybody can't be successful. You ain't going to have a bunch of successful people because what it takes is a lot. And a lot of people ain't willing to do that. They just want to kick back and chill.
And talking about success, what success ironically takes is a lot of failure, and when it gets to that point as well, you also
learning.
Yeah, learning. Not
a lot of learning experiences.
A lot of learning experiences.
Yeah,
and, you're not going to do everything right the first time.
Right.
And I think a powerful thing with that as well, on an individual tip as well, is that when things go wrong, you have to be comfortable, and that's probably why people don't want to do all the hard work, because at the end of the day, when it goes right, is you. Or your team, hopefully. Yeah. When it goes wrong, it's you or your team.
Yeah, exactly.
More so you than anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't comfortable with that, especially even not whether you work for yourself or you work for someone else. If you do something wrong, are you taking full responsibility for that? Are you pointing fingers to circumstances or things that happen out of that? Oh, I didn't do this because this didn't happen, all that. Or are you going to own up and say, that's my bad?
Yeah.
I apologize. I'll take that in consideration and let me see if I can move forward, because nobody is perfect, And that's another thing we try to drive home with the show is that we're all on this road trying to learn ourselves. Even myself today is a lot more things I could be doing different, better with clients, my team that could be flaws that need improvement. But at the end of the day, is me being like talking to myself and people around me talking to me to be like, okay, this needs to change or this needs to happen or how about we do it this way? Because that's where real growth happens.
You know what happened?
Is that feedback.
I realize what it is we have failed at teaching the people that come behind us responsibility and accountability. Because what it seems as though nobody wants to be responsible.
You gotta be.
They want to be able to say, oh, it's that person. It's that guy. Nobody wants that weight to fall on their shoulders where at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. You make the decision. You are accountable for the situation. And I think we fail.
That's a lot of pressure.
It is.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is. And I think that's why most people tend to get jobs or fall, get on that hamster wheel because the responsibility isn't with you. It's with somebody else. They just pay you to come in, do this task, and you go. You don't have to deal with the headache or everything else that comes along with being the person in charge. And I think that's what it is that people avoid. They don't want that.
And even like when you say that, like there's an article today from Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. He says like a quote. It's like, if you want a solid thing, don't be the leader. Yeah. Like being the leader is hard.
Yes.
It's very, very difficult.
Yes.
If you want something, like be number 2 or be whatever like that.
Yes.
Like if it's all on you, and this is the bitter side of it, is that it's all on you. But you got to be accountable and learn from your mistakes and get better from it. Because you could go both ways too. You could make a mistake or you could learn, and then you throw in the towel, and then you use that as your excuse of why you didn't do it. Or you could take that into consideration, learn from that, move forward, and be a stronger person. And you sucking it up every time that happens makes you a stronger person that you could be more accountable to, as well as, you know, someone who people will want to work with, because nobody wants to work with somebody who blames something else all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship, or even when you start out at a ground level and you're just self-employed where it's just you. The beauty of that is it's just you. You have nobody to point the finger at. It's only you. Who you can blame?
Right.
So this is what's teaching me a lot of accountability and responsibility, to where in certain circumstances I find myself taking a level of responsibility when something isn't even necessarily my fault.
Right.
But I've just now become so accustomed to being the person that's responsible, I just tend to take it on. That's just me. It's my fault.
Yeah,
I could have done this. I could have done that better.
And that's a pro and con too, but that's a whole different episode in terms of like delegation and all that stuff like that. But that's what it is. It's like you know when you wake up every morning, everything falls and rides on you. And if that is, and that you got to use that as motivation to keep it moving.
Yeah, you got to.
I don't know. Somebody did a comment or anything.
Oh, well, we have some comments, but they said they're talking with each other. Let me see. Let me read a couple of your comments. Chrissy say, yes, cuddle, please. Yeah, get from around here, Chrissy. You like people to cuddle you? No! And we got, she telling Linda, hey, Linda. Hey, Chrissy, you promised to stay. Chrissy could be on the next one. All right, say fabulous watermelon tea, Greg. Why, thank you, Susan. This also came from Walmart. Anybody that knows me knows I like my $5 Walmart shirts. This also came from Walmart. I appreciate that you like this shirt in this color. And she said, I can't tell, Greg. No, love these Tuesday shows. Okay, I was seconds late and missed the introduction of the articulate young man. Oh, Travis, they're calling you articulate.
Oh, what happened?
Susan said she missed the introduction of you, the articulate young man.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Susan. Those orange vocabulary books in high school went a long way.
Chrissy say Travis missed the website wonder. Susan say people have a sense of entitlement and are plain old lazy. Sad. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, that's another point too. I mean, and that's an issue where I find a lot of people in our generation as well. Because this is prior 2007, 2008 when everything went to shit. It's like, again, going through that same dream where you go through high school, you get good grades, you go to a good school, you end up with a great job. And shit just went awry after 2008. So now you have, on one side, you have a lot of people with those things that happen are forced to do their own thing and to do things to make it work. But then you still have a very small pool of people who are frustrated and angry because things aren't looking the way that they thought it would do.
They thought things would line up a certain
Right.
way and things would happen in a certain sequence.
Right.
But it does not. I tell
again,
people all the time, but 90% of the time, things ain't gonna work out in the same sequence which you thought it would
Right.
work out in.
Now the dialogue around that is okay. Did I pick the wrong major? Did I take this wrong class?
Mm-hmm.
Did I go to this school versus going to this school? And is always a self-questioning
Mm-hmm.
of circumstances versus okay, this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
What needs to happen next? And a lot of people still in that, and you have people actively trying to change that for themselves. They realize that now, but it's kind of a shock when you get out to the real world and realize, look, this degree doesn't get me in the door for this particular thing right away. And all
right, Keitra asks, what about when you encounter crass people who think they're giving constructive criticism but just straight bashing? Now with that,
you got
go ahead, Travis.
You take this. You take this. Because you take it. Because
with that, right? Okay.
They're going.
My thing is, and here's what we do wrong. What I think our problem is, we pay too much attention to the messenger as opposed to the message. So in situations like
most
this,
cases, yes.
what you should ask yourself is, what is the content of this message? Is it sensible? Is it valid? Is it true? What can I take from it? Can I get anything from it?
Before getting offended.
Right. If these things line up and you can get something from it, and it's true, and it could be helpful, then I think you take that as constructive criticism that you could use. Never mind if it came off in a harsh or crass way, right? If it came off that way, I get it. Okay, it makes you feel we're human beings. We have
Right.
emotions. Certain things make us feel a certain way. But at the end of the day, pay attention to the content as opposed to the delivery.
Why is this person saying this, or why has this come up in a different form or another 2 or 3 times? Maybe there may be something there that I have to do it. And I feel iffy on that thing. It's like in most cases, especially if it's people who really don't know any better or the subject matter, you just gotta rush. You gotta blow that off and ignore it.
Right.
But hopefully, you have, and while ignoring it, you have a group of people around you who would tell you something similar if that is actually the case. And you have to keep those people around you. If you hear that a lot, and even if you wanted to be a silent board, hey, if something really bugged you, go to your core group and be, so what you think about this?
Right.
And you got to have those people be 100% honest with you
Right.
to tell you that. If that's the case, if you keep hearing that and your core group around you don't, that's how you know who's a yes man or not. If they don't
Right.
say anything, oh, no, that's just, all that stuff, and then you realize and yourself something don't feel right, then maybe you need to reevaluate your accountability circle in that particular sense. So if it's frequent enough, I would take it a little bit in consideration, but most times probably not. And really stick to your core people who you want to be around, who would tell you that same thing, and kind of use that as your compass.
Yeah. See, I mean, I agree with that. But I guess, I don't know, she probably differentiated me, right? Because I have known to be a bit crass, a bit direct, a bit to the point. And a lot of people may feel that it's me being mean, but it's just me being honest.
And one thing you got to keep in mind too, Greg, is that like the realizations that we've come to on different things, a lot of people haven't reached there yet, or they reach there at different times.
That's true.
So one message may not have the context of impact versus the next one. So when you say it, it may come off as offensive or crass, or it might hurt their ego, depending on how they look at it.
Right.
With that being said, too, and even in a sense too, is like, hey, all these good things that happen come out, and like you have people who get it, people who don't get it. You can't focus on that. It's just people come at, like, again, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Different people at different times. What matters in terms of accountability is that if what you're doing is true and who the people around you understand and want to keep it real with you too, that's what you need to do. Focus on that and build that up versus worrying about the millions of people.
Right.
Because the millions of people are millions of different directions that might take you in the wrong direction.
Perfect. Well, shoot, we might as well end on that. See, I smart, Greg. I tell you, she differentiated me. Anyhow, we can wrap up with that beautiful ending by Travis. Travis, we still put in a full episode anyhow.
Good stuff.
Yeah, we still put in the full episode. So thank you, people, for watching. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. You all need to call us, man. Next time you all call us.
Please share the
Let me
video.
give you all the number, 804-5219. Travis, what are we doing tonight?
Oh, yeah, tonight, if everybody's available who's watching, we are having pitch night at Avista Coffee Lounge tonight at 7 o'clock. For those who don't know where Avista is, it's coffee in the plaza right opposite Hoffman.
What is pitch night? We playing baseball?
No.
Explain it to people who don't know what it is.
Pitch night
quickly, briefly.
It's an open community night that the STC people have, where we get together, we discuss different ideas, projects that people may be working on, and we discuss it in an open format. It's a safe environment where people provide feedback and ask questions to kind of get that idea out of your head and start thinking through it.
Tell them about the offering plate.
So what we do, we don't necessarily offer it, but we have a community pot where if you come, we don't force you or anything like that, like a community pot. But
So y'all don't force them like the church?
No, you don't force them like the church.
Okay.
You can put in whatever amount you want, and then the best pitcher of the night walks away with that community pot. So it kind of gives a little bit of validation to the idea, but the most thing it gets you going to discuss these ideas and probably meet somebody new to share and discuss ideas. So if you are available, come out tonight at 7 at Avista Coffee Lounge.
Beautiful. And on that note, and our ending has not resonated with another episode as much as this one. Because like we've been talking about, when you ain't holding yourself accountable, you ain't being responsible, all you do is make excuses. And we like to say on here, losers make excuses. Winners make adjustments. Thank you for tuning in, people. Until next time.
After show, but Gail ain't there. Sorry. No after show today, people. Oh!